All right, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, I tend to curse when I'm passionate about something, so either you get me not cursing, which means I'm dull, and I'm like constantly censoring myself, or I curse because I'm like, oh, this is so effed up. So, today we're gonna talk about when big data gets invited to the content party. There might be some, hopefully there's not many misspellings in this slide deck. I was literally working on it on the plane because my team kept feeding me new insights, and I wanted to get them to you all because the stuff is good. All right. I want to start off talking about a meeting that I was in recently with a client, and there was a person on their team who was an amazing content writer. Like, this guy was good, he was passionate about the topic, he wrote great content. And I saw the CEO, who had zero freaking data, marginalize this guy's work. So you go, I think we should write more product content. And the guy's like, but like these blog posts are, and this poor content marketer was not equipped with the data to be able to tell that CEO to go pound sand and that he was valuable and that he was making him money. So that shit stops today. Today, my whole goal is to teach all of you to keep yourself from being in the position that that guy was in, because it sucked. Being the agency, watching somebody be devalued in front of your own eyes when you know that's how you got all your results. And I was like, and I went toe to toe with that CEO, and we had the content marketers back. Luckily, he's good, because if he sucked, I would have had to be honest. But he was great. And I watched them be devalued, and I said, how can Sear help more people who get crapped on by their bosses who go, I don't think this stuff's worth it, be like, let me show you just how worth it is. If anything, this guy should get a raise. I think the coolest thing that I've been showing people lately when I get an opportunity to speak on stage, and by the way, I'm definitely up here for tips, so I had tweeted out the link to my donation page for the sleep out. Like, based on the value you got, that's what you should tip. If you give me nothing, then I got work to do. I know how many people are in this room. Come on, Chicago. I know Philly's a little warmer than Chicago, but on like November 14th or whatever it is, it ain't going to be warm. I'll be there all night. I like showing content marketers how to tell people which singular piece of content that they could write will have the biggest impact on the organization. Today, I will be showing you a $500,000 singular piece of content. I'm going to show you how we got there. But it's going to require you to talk with some new words. Keywords, content, rankings, cool. Not enough of us are talking about revenue. Not enough of us are talking about customers. Not enough of us use words like yield. Yield. You can put $1 into this and get X. You can put $1 into this and get Y. Which one has a greater yield overall? ROI. We're not just writing to write. I love that red team, blue team thing. Like, it's so unique that I can't steal it, because people would be like, we know where you got it, but that's good. That's good. All right. So this is going to be a little mind-numbing today. It's going to be a lot of like, what the freak did he show? And like, the numbers are small at times because the room is big and you're way in the back. Sorry, you should have gotten here earlier. So, are you ready? I hope that's weak. I am not putting my heart and soul on this stage for that kind of fucking response. So, are you freaking ready? Yeah. Much better. So 24 months ago, I was like, oh my God, most of what I've been presenting on stage has been wrong or ineffective. You know how hard it is when, you're like, Will's been doing this thing for 20 fucking years. Like, you should listen to him because he's seen more than you have. And I go, damn, getting 1 year of good data is better than my 20-year experience for probably everybody in the room. I think way too often, you all let people like me talk about stuff on stage that if you did would never work for you. Industries are different. If my client is heavy brand and their brand is globally recognized, then whatever I come up here and show you worked for us may not work for you. But you don't know that. Why? Because you don't know my sample size. It's 1. There's like 3 billion websites or whatever it is on the internet. I've worked in my 20 years on 1,000. Do you really want to trust my gut on something? 1,000 out of 3 billion? That's ridiculous. So it's interesting when you have to peel back the layers on your own experience and realize how wrong you are and how wrong you've been. And I think that's my competitive advantage. I don't have ego when it comes to winning. So I was like, yep, I've been doing this stuff in a way. One of my team members went, I think I can beat you with a computer. He was right. And the minute he said that, we started changing the way we did our business. So I got here. It started with the deck. This is the first crack in my experience, and I went, oh my God, how many times have I been wrong? Like, I thought I knew how to do keyword research. Like, 20 years, blah, blah, I've been Alta Vista back in the day, all that crap that people that have like been around forever say. And then I started realizing something. My AdWords data stayed in AdWords, and we optimized it, and it was great in AdWords. And all my ranking and SEO data stayed in some rank tools. And I had all these different tools, and I had all this data in all these places, but my customers don't know the difference between PPC and SEO. They search Google, they look for an answer, and they click. They click so much that they click on paid ads when it's not even close to their answer, costing you a lot of money. So it's like my two boys. They're pretty awesome by themselves. But they're more awesome when they're together, aren't they? And this is your like PPC and SEO data. And I'm just the bridge to bring it all together today for you guys. This one clue that I had that I missed by not combining my data cost one of my clients 30 grand. And this is the thing that I found is happening to everybody in this room, you just don't know it. That's why I want to show it to you so it doesn't happen to you. Because when you find it, you save the money. When you save the money, you get all your content projects funded. The word deck plan. So, our client helps people plan out their decks. So, we put in the word deck plan into AdWords and we bid on it, and that's what we're thinking. And the cool part is we're crushing goals. Everybody's at Sears like, yeah, us and the client are like, we're killing it. They're like, you are Sears, like, here's more money. We're increasing our budget with you. You guys are doing great. AdWords is like, you're killing it, man. Like, you took over from that old agency and now look at the numbers and the things crossed at the right time. Numbers are awesome. AdWords is like, you guys are crushing it. What Google AdWords didn't tell me or my client about are what I like to call keyword gremlins. They're nasty little fuckers. And they just take money out of your fucking pocket and you don't even know it. But Google Organic was like, hey, wait, listen to me. I can show you some stuff that you don't know is going on while you're high-fiving. Like, stop, look. I got money for you for all your other projects if you just stop high-fiving. But because nowhere in AdWords do they tell you that the word deck plan has a couple different meanings. But in organic, they do. See, when I started realizing that for the word deck plan, I started seeing cruise ships showing up. I went, oh, shit. Oh, no. I mean, I do this talk all over the world, and I show people, I ask sometimes in advance, like, okay, we have to go up to the word deck plan. What are you thinking? And everybody, because it's a B2B conference, people are like, PowerPoint. I'm like, no. And then there's always like, and then people are like, decks, like a deck. And they're like, duh. I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing I said. And I wasted 30 grand on that intuition because I didn't use data. And all my goals were being hit, but I was still losing money on the back end that I would like to retain for my client. Always there's like a few people who are cruise people. It's interesting, deck plans and deck plan actually show slightly different results. One of them shows cruise results at the bottom of the page, one doesn't most of the time. So it's the singular versus the plural. Google's machine learning has taught it that those words actually have slightly different meanings. So when I talk about that $30,000 that my client had basically wasted on Google AdWords, it comes from this issue. People were typing in words like deck plan, MSC. I don't know what the fuck MSC is. Oh my God, it's a cruise ship. And when I found that, I had to go to Wikipedia and find all the cruise ships in the world and make sure we negated every one of them so our client didn't show up for any of them. Literally, people who wanted to find deck plans on cruise ships were seeing my AdWords ad that said, do you want to build a deck? And they were like, click, yep. And they did it so much that it cost my client tens of thousands of dollars. Holy shit. Censoring. Singulars versus plurals, slightly different intent. And once I found that, I went, every client deserves to not have these keyword gremlins in their account. But how the freak am I supposed to find them all? Which led me on this. But before I go right into how to find them, I got another one for you. Bank account. 21 Savage people, I listen to a lot of hip hop. So I caught this for one of our clients who doesn't use us for paid, but gave us their paid data. For 18 months, if you typed in the word bank account, the whole first page of Google was stuff about the rapper. The word changed meaning. Where in AdWords or an SEO or anywhere else in your tool set are you told that a word changed meaning and maybe it doesn't mean what it used to mean? Ask yourself that. What tool do you have that tells you a word changed meaning? Because AdWords ain't telling you that, because that's how they make money. So for 2 years, I went to banking conferences showing people this, calling out banks, and I can still find banks today bidding on the word bank account, left and right, although the intent has kind of changed over time and it's back to mostly banks. That client, when we got our hands on their PPC data, their PPC team had dropped $60,000 in 6 months on words that included 21, Savage, Remix, audio, lyrics. Not even just the word bank account by itself, which suddenly that performance tanked. This is why rankings are dumb. All of a sudden, there was a time where the only result that was a bank for the word bank account for about 12 to 18 months was Bank of America. Everything else was a music site. Oh, my traffic's down, my ranking's down, my SEO team sucks. You got to be able to watch these things so you can defend yourself from a CEO who doesn't understand that, like, well, the word changed, dog. Like, if we're a bank, like, go do a hip hop video. Like, what do you want from me? I don't have the tools to beat out somebody who's got a platinum album right now. What's crazy is, for my PPC marketers, going into AdWords and clicking individual words and negating them is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Because if anybody's really into hip hop, you would know that Joyner Lucas remixed the song. So when Joyner Lucas remixed bank account, if you only negated 21 Savage words, the words are back with the word Joyner Lucas, and you are getting clicks on them because my client spent 60 grand in 6 months on 21 Savage words. I'm pretty sure you're getting clicks on things that don't have anything to do with your business, and you're wasting money right now. Got another one for you. I find these things at scale now. It's crazy. Whiskey glasses for my country people. I'm more of like a Zach Brown and Sugar Land and Garth Brooks guy. Like, I'm not all in the country, but the country I like. Whiskey glasses comes out. Song gets pretty popular. Nowhere in AdWords does Google tell you that there's a video ranking #1. It's funny, Google.com organic says, oh, there's a video ranking #1 because it's the right answer. Google paid says, yeah, we're not going to tell you that. Isn't that interesting? I can only imagine that Norland, if somebody knows somebody from Norland Glass, please hit them up and be like, y'all might want to watch your performance on the word whiskey glasses. Because the other thing that sucks is, as you know, especially if you're on mobile, you click anywhere in that video box, the video starts playing, which means if your ad is sitting right up, you could not pay me to be an ad right above a video result. Even for the banks right now the bank account's like not all the hot song and whatnot, still I'd be like, please don't bid in the 4th position for that word bank account. Because it sits right above 21 Savage, and you drunk little teenagers are like, I want to hear the 21 Savage word. Click, thanks, Bank of America. I doubt they're like, I wanted to see this rap video, and now I want to open a bank account, actually. All right, one of my favorites for content marketers, so that's for PPC folks. But if content marketers understand how to find those things, guess what you get? Money to pay for real content that can help solve real problems for real customers. Because you show that to a CMO or CFO, it's my favorite thing to do in the world because I have a tool that does it at scale now. So we're just like, oh, by the way, yeah, ooh, this one. Sorry about that. They go, oh my God, how did that happen? I don't know, but I just found enough to pay for my whole first year of fees with money that you were just giving to Google so they can go eat sushi. All right, so one of my favorite for content marketers, I want you to watch this one closely. Organic versus PPC page mismatch. See, when your data exists in two different silos, you're never going to know this is happening. And I don't know about you, but I don't know any tools that take all my paid data and join it with my SEO data. So that means that there's no tool on the market that helps you do this. And I got so frustrated with that I had to build my own, and instead of building a tool, because I don't want to become a software company really, I just had to use tools that were off of the market to mash my data together. So Ally Bank, the phrase is best savings account for wedding. Ally Bank, paying for clicks. Great, kind of. Ally Bank ranks number 3 for the word. Good job, content marketing person. The PPC page has 0 mentions of the word wedding on it. The organic page has 15. Because it's actually about weddings. Shocker. So what you do is you take your PPC data, your SEO data, your analytics data, and here's the different things. I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel, actually on Sears' YouTube channel, that show you how to do this. I take all these different factors, mash them up, and I can find these things at scale. Hey, client, where are you going after a word where you already have a top ranking? Where is that word in that landing page underperforming for you? You already have earned the ranking in the organic side, done at scale. Literally, every client gets that, and I just have to hit one button, refresh. Boom, everybody gets it. I can find the outliers and find the clients who are wasting money on keywords on one landing page that doesn't fit the intent of the customer. I want you to look at the clues that are on this page. And this is the way I used to talk to people. I'd be like, look at all the clues. Then it's like, Will, I have a million freaking queries, dude. How am I going to do that? What I really want you to focus on, so there's a phone number there. That's a clue. There's a year there. That's a clue. There's a time in there. That's a clue. We started parsing out all the freaking clues. So I can say, yeah, for this client, when you put 2019 in a title and paid, that made your organic listing in the first position get less clicks. So therefore, we have to make sure we combat that. So I try to take all these clues and process them at scale. What's interesting is look at the Simple ad. Anybody here from Simple? Anyone? I'm going to give you a shout out, so it's okay. No one. Look at the Simple ad. This is about a wedding savings account thing. That's a pretty good ad, right? Look at the other jamokes. Simple.com is like, we own you guys. We're going to get better quality scores. We're going to pay less per click because we're actually talking about weddings on our page. They found the clues, they processed them, they built a better landing page for their customers. Everybody else is sending you to a generic landing page. Those other pages were not about weddings at all. Let's look at the rest of the clues that are here. One of the things that I don't know any tools that bring this in, so you might have to do a custom scrape. Dates. Content marketers, please do me a favor when you try to estimate the ROI of your work. Look at the published dates. Because if the #1 result was published in 2015, that's 4.5 years ago. If you're making an ROI basis for a 1-year thing when the #1 result's been able to stick there for 4.5 years, maybe you should multiply your ROI projection for that page by 4. Not 1 year, 4 years. And when somebody goes, well, why do you think these words are going to last for 4 years? You're like, facts. The thing in the #1 position has been there for 4.5 years. Fact. Not my opinion, not my experience, not my 20 years of blah, blah, blah. Fact. Right now, the person that owns the #1 spot's been there for 4.5 years. That's why I'm multiplying my ROI number from content by 4. Problem? Didn't think so. This is how you shut up hippos. I'm going to call myself the hippo slayer. Some cool shit like that. Just come out and like dress Andy up in a hippo costume and be like, die, hippos. All right. Each domain is a clue. We already talked about that. That's how we found that waste that was going on for the deck plan word. Each domain is a clue. Can't wait to show you guys the stuff I put together at the end. Where you rank is a clue. Site types, like down there's a forum. Oh, wait, that's a forum. Maybe I can advertise there or whatnot. They're all clues. People also ask is a clue. The thing I love about people also ask answers is it's a singular answer, which means whenever somebody goes, oh, what do you think about voice? I go, let's find all the singular answers. That's probably the first place to go. Facts. If voice is getting big and voice always only gives one answer, then you should go to the places on Google where Google only gives one answer. People also ask. Get all of them at scale, and then get the freaking answer box, so whenever voice becomes 50% of all of our searches, which ComScore said was going to be in 3 months. ComScore said in 2020, 50% of all searches were going to be voice. How many of you literally are like, yeah, that makes sense now? But 2 years ago, your CEOs and your managers, your CMOs went to conferences like this and was like, oh my God, ComScore said 50% of all the searches, what are you going to do about voice search? They took you off of actually solving real customer problems with content to run some rabbit tail around like voice search, which nobody uses except to play music and do timers. Anybody here make money? When you, of course, nobody wants to hear that because everybody wants to talk about voice because it's sexy. I bought something once. Okay. It's not 50%. That's how you get ready for that. And then all these are clues too. The thing is that there's clues everywhere, right? There's clues freaking everywhere. And people like me are like, data's the new oil. And it's like, here's your freaking tool set to go get it. And that's what I realized where I was wrong. I have been showing people all these clues individually and not realizing that there's freaking hundreds of thousands of search terms you're showing up for. How the freak are you going to Google all that crap and sit there and look at all that crap and actually get your jobs done? And that's a bad job. What do you do all day? I Google stuff and I look at the page and then I I look at 1,000 other pages and I try to remember it all to figure out what kind of content I should build. Not good. So data's only the new oil if you've got the right tools to drill. My tool of choice is Power BI. If you use Tableau or Looker or Click, those are all good. If you use Data Studio, I'm like, okay. They're always about 7-8 months behind, Tableau and Power BI were doing blended data 3 years ago. You just got that 6 months ago in Data Studio. Like, you can't innovate with old tools. Remember, Google's like, part of their new business model seems to be like, do something just good enough so you don't use someone else's tool. Google Chat. So build Gmail. Dope. Now that you're on G Suite, let's give you Chat, which is nowhere near as good as Slack, but it's good enough to keep your boss from paying for Slack. And let's do the same for Hangouts because it's better than, you don't want to buy Zoom. We're going to give you this okay thing and then ask you after the end of each Hangout how it was. You're like, you know how it was. So that's why I found a better way. This is why I'm making the case for big data, and I want to show you what it feels like to own the fucking drill. You're about to see what it's like to own the drill. And I hope it inspires all of you enough to go watch YouTube and be like, this guy's literally giving it all away step by step. I'm going to watch this freaking video because this drill is powerful. I want you to hold a mirror up at some point in the next few days to the way that you look at how you make your case for content. And I want you to compare it to this drill because this is the drill that I'm coming with and I'm educating the entire world on it on my YouTube channel. So you're not competing with me, you're competing with all those tens of thousands of people that watch the videos on how to do this. But before I do that, I want to give you a sound bite of what it feels like when you join all your data together from SEO and PPC. I now say things like this to my clients. Hey, you know what? I want to target keywords that have no search volume according to all these tools that all of us use. SEMrush, Stat, and Ahrefs. 0 searches all year. And my clients look at me like I got 5 heads. And then I show them this little story. They're like, what? Oh, God. Well, 0 searches? Yeah, small data content marketers go, I sort all my stuff by search volume, and then I pick the words with the most search volume, and then I go after those words. Big data content marketers are like, ha, 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 I know something you don't know. Here it is, folks. We took a large keyword corpus of a publicly available keyword corpus, and we said, only show me the keywords that have 1,000 or more searches a month. For this one client, facts. This is this client's data. 331 conversions for this client. Then we took that slider and went all the way down to 0 and said, show me all the words that this tool says no one ever searched for it. 745 conversions. Look at how many Oh, you can't see it because it's cut off. 16,000 keywords, though. See, the problem is our brains can process 794 keywords. That's why we sort by search volume, cut after 100 searches or the top 100 and go after that shit. What we don't realize is there's 16,000 other keywords way down there getting single clicks, 1 click, 3 clicks. And when you add all them up, that all those tools are missing, it was twice the number of conversions, and none of you know to go after them because you all sort by search volume, go after those keywords, so you don't even know to go after these. So I pick them up so easy and make happy clients in the first 2 or 3 weeks because I have no competition. Does that make sense? I have no competition on these words because whatever your processes are today, they tell you ignore that shit. And I come in with my drill super deep and go, we're going to take all that shit. Nobody knows it. We're just going to take it all. You guys keep fighting for those keywords up there. Go for it. There's 330 conversions up there. There's 750 down here. Just keep taking it. But you can't do that with a client who's got an ego because they want to go after those words. Right? But usually you show somebody these facts, they're like, oh, I'll listen now. So if you want to own the drill, this is what it sounds like when I talk to my clients. I looked through 877,000 unique pieces of content to show you today the one piece of content you should produce. That gets attention. You looked at how many pieces of content? Yes, we looked at 877,000 pieces of content just for you. Not some, oh, I took all my clients together and mashed them all up. No, just for you. So here's what we do. And the beauty is we do it in like 30 to 60 seconds. What we do is we take the top 20 ranking URLs for every single search term that client paid for in the last year. So when I do my competitive analysis, this client, I looked at 188,000 unique competitors. 188,000 unique competitors were ranking somewhere in the top 20 for the keyword that they paid for. See, the beauty of using paid data is I'm like, well, you paid for this keyword. If you didn't want to show up for that, why are you paying for it, dog? They're like, oh. Yeah, well, then we join all that data together and show you where words are showing up that don't make any sense for you. We negate all that, give you that money back to pay for this. And yes, there's my 877,543 unique pieces of content for just this one client. This is just one client's data set. Each bubble that you see is a domain. Power BI is only going to show a certain amount of bubbles, so therefore you're like, where's the 188,000 bubbles, jackass? It's like, they're there. They're just not going to let me show them all because it'll slow down my laptop to something brutal. Oh, by the way, Power BI is free. That's the other thing that's cool. It's free. For you Mac people, I'm sorry. It's a Microsoft product. Go on eBay, get a freaking PC with 16 gigs of RAM and do this work. You'll pay for it the minute you join your PPC and SEO data and find your own version of bank account. My x-axis is count of URL. So I'm counting up how many unique URLs there are for that, for each domain. Oh, sorry, no, yeah, count of unique URLs per each domain. So the further the bubble is off to the right, the more content that domain produced. Got it? This is different because you don't typically see this, so you really have to make sure you got this. So the further the bubble is off to the right, the more content that domain produced, okay? My y-axis is number of conversions for that client on the keywords that are matching to those pages. So now, the higher up the bubble is, the more conversions that domain is getting off of the content they built. Who here gets where to look at already? I love it. That's how simple it is to build your content strategy. You look in the top left. Why? Because they produced the least amount of content and got the most conversions. Drill. So now what I do is I move my little slicer and I go, hey, I don't want to see things where I rank on the first page. I want to see page 2. And only where my competitors are in the top 5. Slide, slide. If you can do that, you can do that. Once you slide it, you start finding domains sitting way over here. So I'm looking for who's the highest up and the closest to that y-axis. They produced the least content and got the most conversions. Because I'm lazy. I want to be like them. I don't want to be like the people who have the bubble all the way off on the right because they produce a bunch of content, but even if they get a lot of conversions, I'd rather produce less content and get more conversions, right? All right. So I found Email Tool Tester. You know how fun this is to show to a client? I didn't even know who Email Tool Tester was. Yeah, of course you didn't, because you used to give me 5 competitors to look at. Now I looked at 188,000. I get to find people you didn't even know existed. And then when you click on the little bubble, you bring in all their paid data. Facts, 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 facts. Notice, nothing I'm saying is, because I've been doing this for 20 years. Nothing. Facts. So Email Tool Tester has 73 pieces of content that rank in the top 5, because that's where I put my slicer to, where you rank 11 or lower on the page 2. Fact. As of that day. Okay, sure, it could change. Sure, a couple times rankings change with mobile. Okay, cut me some freaking slack. I've had all the people throw the arrows at me. Well, that won't work because, oh my God. You spent $683,089 or $891.49 on the 6,075 keywords that match this criteria. You made the market for me on the value of this content. I'm not telling you what content's worth. You valued these 6,000 words that all rank in the top 5 at $683,000. You paid for it, not me. You made the market. So why can't I get a piece of content if you're willing to pay $683,000 for these words to rank for it organically, because you don't rank on the first page because I moved my slicer to number 11, remember? When I move that slicer to number 11, I'm only looking at keywords where my client's not on the first page. I click on the one domain bubble. It shades everything else out. And then I had to blur it all out because it's client data. I can look at all the different URLs. And here it is. A couple of filters later, that's what I found. One piece of content. I mean, let's just go through this. This one piece of content ranks in the top 10. I have a full client open on this one. It's a different client. 3,600 keywords to one page. Next time you ask somebody, how many keywords should I have per page? When they answer it, whatever the answer is, smack them. Because they're using small data. Before I started looking at things this way, I said dumb shit like that too. That's real. I would go around and be like, oh, you know, with all my experience and shit, yeah, that's 330 words per page is about right if it's not too competitive. Now I'm like, 3,600 words? Yeah, 3,600 words, one page in the top 10. You spent $482,000, and that's on this the one piece of content. One piece of content. So now when our clients say, hey, Will, what should we do? Can you build us a content roadmap? I go, let's see how quick you can execute. Because if you can execute, I just showed you one piece of content that you spent $500,000 on that's ranking for 3,600 words in the top 10. Why don't you just go build that before you have me build out a 50-year plan on what we're going to write content 50 years from now? Anybody in the room want to see that $500,000 piece of content? Because it's interesting, right? So you're like, okay, this must be some amazing content. And this is all part of how you hook your client. I'm like, do you want to see it? And they're like, yeah, like, show me the freaking piece of content, Will. I didn't even know this email tool tester existed. Now what you're telling me is they rank for all these words that we don't rank for, and there's all this precision in the way you're bringing me strategies, and I can never tell you, oh, well, that's B2B, or that's B2C, or that's another client of yours, or that's anecdotal. It's like, no, it's all your data. Everything I'm showing you is fact. So they're like, yes, show it to me, show it to me. And then I go, boom, here's that piece of content. And they go, this? That is a $500,000 piece of content? You go, yeah, that's a $500,000 piece of content. They go, for me, what I really like to do is I like to be like, there's your $500,000 piece of content. Boop. That's it. $500,000. Then I ask new questions. Do you think we can do better than that? All of a sudden the client's like, yeah, we can do better than that. Of course we can. It's like, all right, well then how quickly can we do it? Shouldn't we just stop the meeting right now and start making that piece of content? Because that content is a piece of crap. And it's outranking us because we're just not using the right words on our page. We found something like this for a company going public. The brand team didn't want to use certain words. The PPC team spent $2 million that year on the same words the brand team wouldn't let the team use. Once I showed the executive team, you're going to have to pay $2 million every year for your top 10 converting keywords because your brand team won't let your team use it. Suddenly the word ended up on their pages. All right. And it's like, there's the new Sear way with the swagger and the mic drop, and the old Sear way just looks at the new Sear way like, I hate you. But like, we had to admit the way we were doing shit was wrong, or I would have never gotten to this point. I had to remove the internal friction in my organization to go, and take a bunch of smart SEOs and go, you're not at SEER because you're smart, you're at SEER because you keep trying to be better every day. And if this is a better way, we have to abandon it. If I can do it with all my experience, we can all abandon it. So let me get started on showing you how to do it. First thing is, you can't cherry pick keywords anymore. You literally can't. None of this works. If your boss or your manager says, oh, I can only give you budget for 1,000 keywords, you're in the wrong place. You'll never be able to do this. Old SEER? I mean, it's just a year and a half ago. Hey, client, we're going to look at 1,000 words for you. That gets you fired at SEER now. No. We're going to pull all your paid data. And then when clients say, well, I don't have paid data, you go, so you want me to go after a keyword you're not willing to pay for. Help me to understand that. You don't want to put any money in this for this keyword, but you want me to write a bunch of content for it. What data do you have to prove that this is worth it? Let me show you something that was mind-blowing for me. See my little slicer in the middle that says clicks? When I move that all the way to single clicks, look at all these numbers at the top and how much they change. I'm going to walk you through them. 96% of all of this client's 265,000 search terms got one click all year. Next time somebody talks to you about machine learning and paid, show them this. Ask them how their machines learn on single input queries. Because if they can't find a way to group them and then make them a massive cohort, their machine learning isn't doing shit on 96% of your search queries. It's just something for you to check a box. You can go, machine learning, yeah, check. Okay, I won't get fired if I get something that's got machine learning in it. 20% of their conversion. So, it always depends on the client data, what they consider a conversion, brand versus non-brand, last touch. Don't have any of that in here. So apologize. 50% of all of this client's spend was on keywords that got one click all year. It's the stuff we typically ignore, right? Because we sort by search volume. And it was 15-something% of the clicks, which is interesting. And this varies from client to client. I will tell you, I have not found a client yet that is less than 93% of all their search terms got one click all year. So if you think, that's not me, yes, you. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you too. All of you. Remember, I'm working for tips. If any of this is valuable, I would really appreciate you helping me with these kids in Philadelphia who have nowhere to sleep. Seriously. Thank you. If you use any of this shit and you watch my YouTube channel, it's the SEER YouTube channel. Google it. If you get value, I would really, really appreciate it. All right, now I'm going to give you the lightning round. So get ready to hold on because it's going to be a little bit of a ride. So, because I'm short on time. So this is how I make brand execs care about content. I find brand keywords, sometimes where they're either not ranking number one, and I show them how much they spent on those words. I go, hey, look how much you had to spend on these keywords because you don't rank number one for this word with your brand. Or I'll show them, yeah, you rank number one, and most search companies are like, why would I optimize your brand? Well, because there's 2 answer boxes above your brand that are giving people your pricing, and I don't even think that's your pricing anymore. So let's just use Domo as an example. This is the page they land you on paid when you search for pricing. No wonder why, when you search organically. No wonder why it doesn't rank ideally. No wonder why it doesn't have the answer box. So what I do is I just tell that brand executive, as long as you're okay with 2 other websites owning pricing for your brand, after all that brand work you do, if you're okay with that, then I'm okay with it. They're never okay with it. Suddenly, they're like, whoa, wait, I wasn't paying attention to that content shit you were saying before, but are you now telling me that other people own the narrative around my pricing? I go, yeah. How much did I spend on pricing keywords last year? There it is in Power BI, and you spent about $87,621.15 on branded keywords last year that included pricing. They don't like that. Another thing I love to do, what do you think about voice, Will? What I think about voice is maybe you should own the singular answers for your own brand. Because when people show up at your branch, Wells Fargo, and it's closed on a certain day, they're not going to blame storebusinesshours.com. They're not going to blame Google. They're going to blame you. Wells Fargo, I just used publicly available data for this. So the publicly available data set that I had showed me that they only had 35.64% of their branded people also asks owned. So every time they talk about, what do you think we should do about voice? Maybe you should just own these branded searches so people actually show up at the right time. Agencies, got a little bit of bad news for you. I'm one of you. We could die a little bit of a slow death because this ain't 2005 anymore where you can't find anybody that can do SEO. Like, your client can find talent. My big thing is I'm starting to use this data to help clients avoid risk because I show them why best practices don't work, but they rely on best practices because they don't have a massive data set. Let me show you a couple of things. My belief is that clients typically think that this is the way the road looks because they only have their own data. Oh, yeah, if I do this, and I read this best practice, and I read this, and in my last job, which was at a similar company, we did this, and it worked. When you have all this data, you get to see all the curves coming up. Wait, did you think about this? When I say all this data, here's what I mean. This is one of my new babies, so I gotta be really careful. I'm like, is there no clients in there? Nope, did a good job. So I look at domain clues, like certain domains that are showing up in the search result. So if Wikipedia ranks number 1, I think it's more of an education query. If Pinterest shows up in the top 5, I think it's more of an inspiration query and more of something we should be more image heavy on. So I'm using these domains as proxies for clues. Then I choose if I only want them to be in the top position, top 5, top 10, I use my slicer. Then I can look at how much have my clients spent across all of my clients on keywords where that domain is showing up in the top 10. And then I have all my clients listed and how much they spent on, and how many queries are showing up where my domain clue is there. Let me give you a little bit of an example of what that looks like. I hit my domain clue drop down. I go, let's pick Pinterest. Sure. Boom, that fast, I can look at my top client and what their CPA is, how much they've spent, how many keywords there are. Then I wonder for Yelp. Boom, now I can talk to that client and say, you spent $204,000 on keywords last year where Yelp was in the top 10. Then I do Reddit. Should we be on Reddit? These top 4 or 5 clients probably should be. Why? Because Reddit's ranking in the top 10 for keywords you spent money on. How many keywords? 1,579 of them, or 97 of them, right? And I just click the different clues, get instant understanding of the opportunity, and then I'm telling my client, like, should we be on Reddit? Click, click. Nope, you're way down here. Reddit doesn't show up for a lot of your high conversion queries. Another client, I can instantly go, girl, you better get on that Reddit. I looked across so many clients, and you're the outlier. You have more traffic coming. You spend more money on keywords where Reddit ranks in the top 10 than anyone else in our client portfolio. Do you see how as agencies, my agency friends, when you have all that data together in BigQuery or some tool like that, how you can keep your client from risk and over-investing in something that's a rumor? Because this is what it's like. You know, agencies, client, in-house, right? But the problem is they are still stuck with some of the basics in terms of their data. And that's why I think as an agency, if you adopt the model that I'm trying to bring to market, you suddenly can tell your client, I help you to see the curves. Because you're driving way too fast going into that turn and you don't know it because I'm seeing more data. Make sense? All right, let me show you how we write better ads with big data. So this is a little bit nerdy. Sorry. One of our clients, Drexel University, let us talk about them. I decided one day to look across all of the how-do queries for every client. And I broke them into n-grams, some other nerdy stuff you don't need to worry about. But what I found is how do I become? And I was looking for outliers in my data. So where do I see, how do I become 1, 1, 6, 6, 2, 0, 0, 28? What's up with that? We found, oh shit, that's Drexel has a lot of how do I become type of queries. This helped me to cut through my own personal bias in how I write ad copy. Because all of a sudden I went, oh, MS Library Information Science, who knew that when people want to become librarians, they're typing in how to become a librarian. They're not searching for MS Library Science. Now you're all like, duh, Will. No, that's specific to just librarians, and I have the facts to prove it. Engineers don't search that way, librarians do, so now my ads get better. Do you see how simple, earlier how I showed you their ads were better for wedding stuff? Because they had some way of slicing through all the clues to find them. Now you see how by doing that, my client had a 174% increase in click-through rate. The ad is not different. Look at it. Look at that. Like, they're not that different. 174 increase in click-through rate, 22% drop in CPA because my clicks got cheaper. Because I was actually talking to people in their language. So for all of you who write ad copy, agencies, you get to go, oh, now I know for every education that client that comes along, if you ever have a librarian degree, blah, 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 that's your value. Somebody else has to A/B test that and wait 6 months for it. You know it instantaneously to start your A/B tests. My e-commerce friends, the word with is the most dangerous word on the planet. Also, some B2B SaaS. Dangerous. Why? Because a wedding dress is very different than a wedding dress with sleeves. Can we admit that? Can we admit that? Just checking. So, like wedding dress versus wedding dress with detachable skirt. Different than a wedding dress, what we think of traditionally. So what I decided to do is look at with for every client across our entire data portfolio. I now look for the word with for every client. Go, oh, you're over CPA, you're over CPA, you're over CPA, you're over CPA. No wonder why. Then we sum it up and we talk to their product teams and go, hey, you were bidding on this word, people clicked on it, you spent some money, we're negating that now because you don't have it, but maybe that's a product you should have. All of a sudden, the search team is giving them insights and ideas they otherwise wouldn't have had. And then every client, so I get the spark, me and my team get the spark, we search the word, we find every client it affects, and every client gets the upside of that. Can you imagine if every one of those clients had to build out their own data warehouse, have all their people watch our videos, have their people get good enough to do it all, have to procure the data engineers to be able to engineer the data to be able to get it that fast? For all those clients, no way. The cost is too high. Therefore, that could be the value that we as agencies bring to our clients. Last few things I want to show you. What do you think about voice search? We took I took space, ME space, across every query that we have in our data warehouse, 10 million, 20 million, I don't know. And then we said, all right, which clients are spending the most on those? There they all are. Checked off the little check boxes. Now I can talk to my clients more intelligently about how they look on voice search. Are they one of my outliers, or are they the kind of client where there's not a whole lot? And I can slice this by industry as well. I can see which clients are over CPA when those queries show up. Hey, client, you know what voice queries? Every time they show up, they're always over CPA for you. Other client, they work for you. We should keep them. They wouldn't know that unless we looked at all the data together. All right, I'm going to end on these last few. Canada. Miss you, April. Hope you made your flight. She was awesome, man. I love April Dunford, man. She's awesome. All right, hypothesis. I went, how many of our clients are bidding on Canada where we don't have the word Canada on the landing page? Hypothesis. Dropped the word Canada in, looked across every one of my add final URLs, scraped every one of them using an SEO tool called Screaming Frog, took all the content and said, show me everywhere where the word Canada is in a query and the landing page that we landed the person on doesn't include Canada. Done. Hey, client, maybe we should be doing some CRO on that page because you spent enough money. Maybe we should actually start to actually answer that person's question well and change pricing, yada, yada, yada. All right. This is the thing that I couldn't believe we got done in time for me to show you all. Different snippets impact client CPA. Think about it. If you're B2B SaaS, wouldn't you want to know every search term you spent money on last year that showed a map? Because that has nothing to do with your business more than likely. If you're a hospital, wouldn't you want to know everywhere where a keyword triggered something like autism backpack, autism awareness bracelet? Oh, how did I know to negate that for my hospital client? Because Amazon showed up, domain clue. Products were showing up, domain clue. All right, so what I wanted to leave you all with is that now I know where to dig. I hope I've inspired all of you just enough to be like, maybe I need to start digging just a little bit differently. I'm not going to go through this because I know I'm out of time. So my only question for you is, are you going to go back tomorrow and do your job the same way you did it or you thought was the right way to do it an hour ago? Or are you going to try to adopt these new tools and use them to your advantage? Because I'm telling you, this shit just works. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. I know I'm a little bit over. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.